Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. Sport all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. Whole sports all plays.
What is going on, guys? Welcome to episode 2 of the He's on Fire podcast, the After Dark show. With me again is Amit. What's going on, Amit? How you doing, man?
What's up, man? What's up, y'all? It's the After Dark show.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know, another long week of parenting, another long week of working, and just watching whatever comes on TV. But let's drop this real quick.
He's on fire!
You know, it's good to be back on it. Like, how was your week, man? Tell me about your week.
Ooh, rough week. I had the first couple days, just me and my son, because my wife and the baby were still in Chicago.
Yeah.
And then just, then they trying to acclimate to LA time over Chicago time. So with the baby, it's been a little bit rougher, but dude, I'm just so glad it's the weekend. You got any big plans this weekend, Jay?
Big plans this weekend? No. Yeah, I'm just gonna be hanging out. Just enjoy the weekend and stuff. I have some cleaning to do, and yeah, that's all I'm gonna be doing this weekend. But are you doing anything, or are you just kicking it?
Only thing locked. So there's two things. There's one. My son's got baseball. It's t-ball, actually. I shouldn't say baseball. And I'm like technically one of the assistant coaches, although I've ghosted the team for like most of the season because they're just playing. But it's a final game. I got to wear a freaking Dodgers shirt, my Dodgers dream team coach shirt. It's so funny because like when we do at the end of practice and, everyone huddles up and goes 1, 2, 3, and they say Dodgers, me and my son don't even say anything. I'm so proud of him. And then we got an ice cream social for the baby at her school, meet some of the parents. And that's it. That's all I got going on.
That's tight. Y'all be doing baseball this time of year? Like it's pretty hot. Like I don't know baseball.
Dude, it's LA.
Like
it's LA.
Yeah.
That's why. Where I live today, the high was 74. So
74?
74, dude. I mean, the sun's still brutal, but it's not as bad as Arizona. It's not even close.
Yeah. I mean, I'll take sunny with cool weather. That's California for you, man. But
yeah,
man, that sounds nice right now. I ain't gonna lie. But
well, I'm coming to Phoenix the last week of July. I'm really staying at my parents' house working from home, which is the worst freaking week you could probably come to Arizona. But we'll see. Maybe we can link up.
Yeah, get a beer or something. Fuck around. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we can do that. But let's just get into the show. Jay, Amit, let's get it going. We're gonna start today just with sports talk. What's going on around in the sports world? As everybody knows right now, the NBA Finals are going on. Game 4 was tonight. The Warriors ended up winning at the end in the last 4 minutes. Curry, he had a couple of major threes. Clay hit that one. That one wide open one on top of the key, and they just ended up closing out the game. Did you catch the game today on it?
So I was at an event, but they had a game on one of the TVs where I was. So I saw, and I got there at 7:00. So I saw part of the third quarter, part of the fourth quarter. I was trying to watch a little bit on my phone. I mean, this series and most of the NBA now, except aside for the Suns and some other teams, they just rely on 3-point shooting, free throws, and scoring at the rim. And this game, I think I looked at the box score, both teams hit 15 threes, but the offensive rebounding advantage flipped towards Golden State, and that created more possessions for them, right, to shoot more. I just, that's what it is. You got to have more possessions, whether it's not creating turnovers on defense, offensive rebounding, or just being really efficient with your shooting. And I saw the lead tracker on NBA.com, and it was, after a certain point in the fourth quarter, it was just all Golden State, which is, I mean, I looked at the box score a little closer, and I think they just needed more out of Horford. It's so funny because I'm watching the game with all Laker fans, and all they're doing is going crazy for the Warriors because they don't want the Celtics to get that 18th or 19th, whatever it is, championship. That's all they care about. Which is funny because that's how we feel about the Lakers, right? We just any day they lose is a good day, even if the Suns lose. But I still think that the Celtics have better role players because I mean and that was I think a problem in this game is that they were trying to hunt Jordan Poole a little bit too much rather than running their offense because he cannot like that guy's almost if he can't score he's not playable. Like you cannot play Jordan Poole. And Clay had a somewhat he had a decent game, right? Like he wasn't really efficient, but he was okay. And that's kind of his MO. Like he's not really that Klay Thompson dude. That's 60.3 quarters or whatever it was. Was it 3? Whatever it was, like that 60-point game that he had where he only dribbled like 3 times. Like that's not happening again. That's not ever happening. And like I watched the Warriors, and the good thing is like aesthetically they're pleasing because everybody kind of touches the ball on offense for the most part.
Yeah.
But they got like 2 guys, Jordan Poole and Steph, that just launch these fucking ridiculous threes. And I'm just like, is that more efficient than just running your offense? And I know it's like, because everybody knows he's going to do it, right? What if Steph came out one game and said, no, all I'm going to do is I'm only going to fake it. I'm never going to take a 40.3. I'm just going to fake it and just see what happens, right? But no, you still got to take 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 of those a game. And it's just like, you're not making 5 of those, bro. Like, and I would even say at this point, Dame is probably a better 40-point 3-point shooter than he is.
Yeah, I would say so too. I always felt more confident, especially in the clutch with Dame sinking those. I'm pretty sure his clutch numbers are higher than Curry's by a lot.
Sure.
Yeah. I watched end of the third and most of the fourth. Obviously, Draymond Green was a no-show. Dude's been sucking the whole series. Klay Thompson, he's not back to himself. I don't think we're going to see that Klay Thompson again. Unfortunately, I'm a big Klay Thompson fan. But, if he's getting his 20 points a night, and he makes like 6 threes, God bless him, But I do have a question about one particular guy, and it's Steph Curry. I was going back and forth with Iverson. I don't know if he's in here right now. And I just said, I was just asking myself this question because obviously, if the Warriors won the series tonight, he would be the Finals MVP, no question. He's been great this series. But when we're talking about best point guards of all time, and he to me, he's not even in that discussion. There's a solid 3 or 4 that are way over him, in my opinion. But I was just thinking about this to myself, and when we're thinking about the greatest players of all time, you sort of have to nitpick and look at all their championships, and they're pretty recent. And me growing up as a LeBron fan, I'm a hold everybody to the high standard, just like how LeBron was held to that high standard. So what's your opinion about this question right here? Is Curry the most overrated player ever?
Let me start with this. If the Warriors lose this series, which I'm hoping for, because I hate the Warriors and their fans,
same here.
They will be 1-3 if you take away Kevin Durant's seasons with that, or the 2 championships they won. I shouldn't say seasons, because then you would have to take out the one they lost in Toronto. So let's say we take out those 2 championships, they're 1-3 in the finals. So I think Steph Curry, if you were to tell me, is he better than Magic? No way. Is he better than Oscar Robertson?
No.
I would say no. Is he better than Isaiah Thomas? I still would say no, because I've seen.
I would take Isaiah.
I mean, there's just some legendary things that he did with a messed up ankle, which is, by the way, what derailed Steph Curry's career in the beginning of his career is his ankle problems. This guy played with a torn up ankle in the finals and still dropped a big number on the Lakers. I believe it was the Lakers. So yeah, I mean, and then you start going down the line, and then it's if you take away championships and you start looking at it, Nash, really Nash was the prototype for Steph Curry. He's Steve Nash 2.0, which is shoot more threes, be more aggressive. Doesn't provide, and there has been highlights where he's played really good defense. Right in this series and in the playoffs. And you can catch times where you see Nash doing some pretty cool things on defense. You haven't seen getting triple doubles and getting rebounds. I think Steph had 10 rebounds in this game. But is he really a point guard? That's my question.
He's a combo guard. That's what I put him under, as a combo guard, because he strays away from being the traditional point guard that we know. He sort of kind of changed that position a little bit. Now we see Trae Young's, we see John Morant's and stuff, and he's Steph changed that point guard position into a shooting guard, point guard sort of combo. So I will give him that.
And I'm checking right now, he had 4 assists in this game. So like in a playoff game, right? And it's different because the offense was different, but because now a lot of things go through Draymond on their offense. But could you ever imagine Steve Nash not having at least 10 assists in a playoff game, in a big playoff game?
No.
Right? I mean, that's wild. Like, I remember, I think it was some series where he had 40 and 20, 40 points and 20 assists. That's like at least 80 points of your offense.
Let me see if I can look that up real quick.
See if you can look it up. But yeah, I mean, I think the Warriors in general are a little bit overrated. Because it's just, they invented this style to play and everybody's trying to catch up to what they're doing. And but they had like it's like when you watch kids play, right? And you go out and I don't know if you've done this or seen other kids, like what they do is they all are trying to mimic Steph Curry. Yeah. But it's like, bro, you're not putting in the work to shoot like that. And he's different because his dad, he grew up in the NBA. He's a different type of guy. You guys are not Steph Curry. You guys are all jacking threes, step backs, whatever. But and I see that in the NBA too, where a lot of guys think that they can shoot like Steph and they just can't. Or shoot like Clay even. And I think Clay might be a better, more efficient shooter than Steph Curry. And I still think that Nash is probably, maybe we would never see, we'll never know because we'll never see the volume that Curry puts up versus Nash putting up. But if Steve Nash put up that volume of shots, I wonder if his percentages would be the same or better. And I would probably tend to say they would be better because they'd be better shots.
Are you talking about the 2005 game when Nash had 39 points and 12 assists?
I thought, is that against Dallas?
Yeah, it's against Dallas.
Yeah, that might have been the one. I might have exaggerated 8 assists out of there, but
I do remember this game.
Maybe there were hockey assists. You know what
I mean? In my personal opinion, if ever the people that are joining right now didn't catch this, I grew up being a LeBron fan, and watching what that band's been through when it came to social media critique is absolutely insane. And to this day, like 20 years later, it's still crazy. Okay, so
Steph catches no smoke. Still, like Steph catches no smoke.
Yes, Steph, like, to me, is so protected, especially when it came into 2015, Kevin Love and Kyrie got injured in the playoffs, and it was LeBron by himself. And, like, LeBron did what he could, and the Warriors were able to win their first chip. Next year, they went up 3-1. I'll start here. OKC actually had him at 3-1, and then OKC came roaring back because KD and Russ choked that series away, and then the Warriors ended up winning that. And then they went up 3-1, and then they choked that series. And LeBron and Kyrie had one of the best playoff performances. I think they're the only duo to have 40 pieces together, I'm pretty sure. Like, that put a big stake in the Warriors' road, because I think, in my personal opinion, I think LeBron and Kyrie showed they're probably the best duo in the league at that time. And I think a lot of people would agree with that. Then, Draymond hits up KD. Draymond's all crying over the phone. Like, come join us. Come join us. And KD, he has something to prove. I obviously didn't like the move being a LeBron fan or an NBA fan. KD comes and literally like the next 3 years were practically unwatchable. It was like, can LeBron at least get a game like in the finals or something?
And let's say this too. When KD joined the team, the best player on that team was Kevin Durant.
Absolutely, 100%. Like Curry played third fiddle a lot.
Yeah,
like, it was Clay dropping that 40-point first quarter. Was that when KD was there? I'm pretty sure, but
probably
like between Clay and Curry, like Clay was like usually the second guy, and Curry was just running around doing his thing, whatever. But yeah, like when KD was there, he was 100% the best player on that team, and KD is a reason why they won the next 2 out of the 3. Yeah, obviously the third championship run, everybody was hurt. KD like blew his leg out. Clay had like a Achilles thing and a knee thing. And what was wrong with Curry? Was it just Curry that was out there?
Are you talking about in that 2019 finals?
Yeah, the Toronto one.
Yeah, he was fine. I mean, was he hurt? Yeah, I think he was fine, but Clay blew his knee. But you know what? If you go, I don't know if that was the year. What was the year when was it Bellinini that took out Kawhi Leonard?
Are you talking about that was Zaza that did that shit?
Or Zaza, whoever it was. Zaza took out Kawhi, right? Was that 2018 or 2019?
That was 2018 because Kawhi was on the Spurs at that time.
Or no, it was 2017 because he missed the entire year next year.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, you're right.
And they were looking like they were going to lose that series too.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
If that injury didn't go out, what's up? But I mean, that's the thing. Like and now we're getting to the point where we're just like, I feel like at least I am like pulling up all these injuries and nitpicking and stuff and being like, well, I mean, we can still celebrate the greatness of the Warriors the way we can celebrate the greatness of the Suns winning 64 games in the season and hitting the franchise record. But on that note, they didn't win the championship. They won 73 games. They didn't win the championship, bro.
That's tough.
That's tough. That's a tough one. And
one
now that we're talking Suns, should we transition over?
Oh yeah, let's do that. Is my sports talk thing up? Okay. So everyone probably saw that article that came out recently from The Athletic. It was I want to preface this. No Suns active player said that they contracted COVID. It was a Suns insider, probably a staff member, probably someone from the medical team that leaked that info. But it's not like what it came off to me is that I'm not pointing fingers at Dallas, but someone on Dallas contracted COVID in game 2. Then the COVID spread to the Suns bench and just the overall roster, and some people got affected. I don't know if it was Chris. I don't know if it was Book. Whatever. Did you read the whole thing, Amit?
I didn't even read it, bro. I'm still you're lucky I'm even talking Suns. I'm still anti-Suns right now. I brought this up because I thought it was interesting. Because it adds another layer to the whole like mystery of like what the fuck happened to this team. But who do you think got COVID on the Suns? Like, forget the article. Like, who do you think got it? Because they said 6 staffers, right? They said 6 staffers got it.
Yeah. I don't know. I really don't know because I want to say Monty because
I definitely got it. He for sure.
Yeah, he seemed off when I think about it. Then I don't think Chris got it.
And they already had it. Devin, Book, and Chris already had COVID.
Yeah, remember Book had it twice this year. Yeah. So
and there's a golf player. I don't remember his name. He's been vaccinated. This guy's gotten COVID 4 times.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah. I did see that.
It gets me to a point where I'm like, when we take these home tests, because I've been around so many people that I find out later had COVID, and I test myself and it's negative. I'm like, I don't know if these tests are actually working.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I was like, super sick a while ago, and I took one of those at home tests, and well, like one came out straight negative within 5 minutes. I took another one. It was like straight positive, like right away. Then I'm like, let me take this again, and then it was a negative. And I was just like, okay. I'm like, no, I'm just gonna stay home. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, but if I had to say, like, if I wished one player got COVID, I'm hoping it was DeAndre Ayton.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah,
because then we can excuse some things. Or Chris Paul, I guess, would be my second choice. He'd be like, "What the hell are you doing?" Quad injury and all. Thank you, Sonia. We're going to talk about the upside down in a minute. But I feel like it's probably somebody at the end of the bench that didn't even matter. Like, who the hell? Like, why are we talking about this? Like, this isn't the reason they lost.
Yeah, like if it was anyone important, it'll definitely be a subject line. But of course, there's going to be those people like, oh, excuses, whatever. Like me, like I'm over it. I'm already looking forward to the off season, and I just don't want to talk about what happened in that Game 7 and stuff because I just want to put it behind me. Like for some reason, like I still feel like the 2015 NFC Championship was worse, but I'm just going to keep on going forward.
Okay, let me just say this. So did you really think that Carson Palmer was like elite?
I didn't think he was a lead, but he was on a hot streak though.
I just feel like we were playing with we were gambling
house
hard.
money and shit.
We were riverboat gambling. Like we were just throwing dollars out there and just being like, all right, let's see if Carson Palmer can do it. And it's just like, really? I mean, yeah, we got Fitz, we got this whole squad, but if you remember his first year with Arians, he threw a lot of interceptions. He kind of figured out the offense a little bit better towards the end, but I was just like, maybe this is like the real Carson Palmer. You know, like when it matters most, this guy is throwing stupid interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that. I mean, and then the Patrick Peterson, the punt return fumble, or was it interception fumble, right? Whatever it was, like he was just doing too much. Like he was trying to be Dion, dude, and you're like, bro, you're not Dion. You're really good, and you're one of my favorite corners of all time, especially when you did that pick six where you hit it up, and then acrobatically ran down, caught it, and ran it in for the pick six. You remember against Kaepernick? Shout out to Cap, who's on the Raiders now, which is cool. Even though he may be too old, and I'm worried that he might have passed him by. But yeah, I mean, I felt like, and especially to the Panthers, bro. That team was, I mean, they were good, right? But they weren't like. Did they win the Super Bowl that year?
No, the Broncos spanked them.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So and they just like Von Miller just had like 1 million sacks in the Super Bowl. Now I'm remembering. So yeah, man. I mean, I don't think that's worse than this because I think we knew. I think we really like. At least I knew deep down that Carson Palmer may not be the guy. I have different feelings about Kyler, but I always thought that we were catching. It's like, and honestly I feel the same way about Matthew Stafford, and he proved it wrong in the Super Bowl, right? Maybe he had better talent around him. Maybe he had just a little bit better receiving core than what we had at that time, and their offense was a little bit more structured. But I don't know. To me, it's what the Sun, because it's so funny. Somebody made a comment at this event that I was at, and they're like, "Man, nobody plays defense like the Celtics." And I'm like, "Well, Suns used to play that kind of defense. The Suns
totally just went away from it."
Yeah. So it's just tough, and you can't say shit because what are you gonna say? Well, the Suns should be in the finals. Well, that's what the Lakers said, right? Last year, all the Laker fans were like, so I can't say that. And honestly, there's nothing I can point it to. I'm not gonna say COVID is an excuse. I'm not gonna say Chris Paul's hamstring is an excuse because that's he's always hurt. I can't I can't put it on. I have to put it on a team effort. That's where I have to put it. And when you put it on effort, that's a big problem because you should be showing effort all the time.
Yeah, I agree with that. Just 2015 was rough for me because of just that Green Bay game and like how miraculous that ending was. I'm like, with that momentum, we should just go into the NFC Championship and just destroy, and it just wasn't that. And yeah, that was one of the worst games I ever had to sit through.
If you remember that team though, like that team played in so many close games, and they pulled them out, right? Like they pulled out a lot of close games, and that was the game where it kind of reminds me of the series against the Pelicans, where you're like, well, even if we beat the Mavericks, like, do we have confidence in campaign, like against the Warriors? We have confidence in Shamit and against the Warriors. Like, they were no shows, right? And even like Cam Johnson and Mikal were up and down, and I'm like, I don't even like. Let's say we won. I don't know if we would have beat the Warriors. To be honest with you, like things were just so up in the air at that point. And so, and I know we would have hopefully relied on DA inside presence to really like pound the Warriors, but we've only seen it in like very small stretches or very like specific games where we did that. So I'm just like, I don't know, man. Like I still, I don't know.
Yeah, like I feel like if we would have closed it out Game 7, I feel like the Golden State series would have at least won 6. But I don't know. It's a bummer thinking about. Did you see what Bradley Beal said today? Like
what did he say? He said, I know I saw Dame he said he wanted to play with DeAndre Ayton or some sources, or I don't know who whatever the sources were. But what did Bradley Beal say?
So Dame said, like he was listing off some players that like he thinks that he would like to play with and stuff, and DA's name was mentioned in that. But with Bradley Beal, it sounds like he's not happy with his status in Washington right now, and he wants to go somewhere and win. Like he's at the point where he's in his career where it's either he needs to start competing to win or just ragging the checks. I mean, he's been losing for 7 years now. He's been a great player all those 7 years, and most of that was with John Wall. They're both Batmans in my eye, and they were a really solid team. Solid duo, but they didn't necessarily have the team around them. But now it's just the Bradley Beal show right now, and to me, Evan quote tweeted it. He said, welcome to Phoenix. Like if I see Bradley Beal coming here 100%. KD, I'm like 50-50. Like I honestly see a Kevin Durant Phoenix Suns jersey. Like it's just ingrained in my head. Like Bradley Beal I see, but like I don't know. What are your thoughts about that?
I mean, honestly, I don't want KD because the ball just he's a black hole with the ball. In the playoffs, and it slowed down the Warriors offense to the point where like they're losing game to the Clippers. Right? Pat Bev is like all up in his face. If Pat Bev can get to Kevin Durant, then something is not right. And now we're talking about Kevin Durant, who plays a portion of the season. He's a fragile player at this point in his career. I don't want him. But I mean, I would have to say that I would much rather have Bradley Beal. Now, if you're telling me who I'd give up, I'd want to give up. I'd want to give up Chris Paul in that deal if I could. Because I'd rather have. Because the problem with Chris Paul is that he just like when the fourth quarter comes and he's the ball handler, he just has to. If he's not making those shots, and then the team's going to lose. But if he's not even taking those shots, the team's going to lose. So there's a problem there, right? Like we've invested too much into Chris Paul. I'd rather go in another way where you have a guy like Bradley Beal who's more efficient. like, I would rather find a way to keep DA and then work on the fringes because I'd love to see Dario Saric back, and let's see how that goes because I think he could have been a huge difference maker. But the guys I'm looking at are Campaign and Landry Shamet. Those are the guys I'm looking at. What can you package that for to get, another, and maybe that goes into I don't think it would work if you try to put in the Bradley Beal deal. I'm trying to keep the core together as much as I can.
Yeah. Like
Chris Paul is a guy where I'm like, he's older, so I can move away from him if I have to.
Mm-hmm. Like where Bradley Beal played his best basketball was with John Wall, and it was with John Wall facilitating John Wall.
But dude, we've been hearing about him wanting to be traded for like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, that's
and nothing's happening.
That's gonna be tough.
Yeah, and honestly, bro, like John Wall when he came out of college, like he reminded me of Jason Kidd. Like when he would get a rebound,
he was old in college.
It was a layup, and even his like first couple of years with the Wizards, and then the dude got injured, he got fat, he got ganged up. I don't know what the deal is with this dude with the throat tattoos and stuff, but like he's not that same guy, and I think he's still talented. I think he can still contribute, but like I'd rather have Russell Westbrook than John Wall.
Man, I don't know about that, but so your mic is tweaking out a bit.
Okay.
Just leave the stream and come back, and we'll just keep it going. I'll start the next subject line, and I'll just bring you back in. But like Bradley Beal was playing his best basketball when John Wall was here. Ever since at Washington, I mean, like, let's add Ahmed back. Like when after John Wall left, Bradley Beal had to, take the point guard position and run the whole thing. And I think where he was best suited was being at one of the wing players. So if we bring Bradley Beal in, it's I feel like the Booker Beal is gonna that duo is just insane to me. I think that would work really well. I would love to keep DA here if we can figure something out. But again, I do want to see Dario. Again, I want to see him because him and Chris had great chemistry.
And him and Campaign did too.
Yeah, and Campaign too. And you saw this year how much Campaign missed him. And I want to see JaVale back. JaVale is one of the better backup centers in the league. And then I want to bring Bismack back too. I want to have those three for sure. But I feel like if we have those three, I think we can get away with some sort of the size disparity amongst most teams. Obviously, Bucks, they're still one of the bigger teams in the league. Boston's still one of the bigger teams in the league. But those teams are in the East. We don't necessarily need to worry about them unless if we got to the finals, and that was our issue when we made it to the finals.
Well, let's wrap it up on this. Like, I feel like a lot of these players that are free agents for the Suns, it's good news that they didn't really show up in the playoffs because JaVale McGee got played off the court. I think he made like $9 million this year. Bismack was on like a veteran minimum. So maybe we can get those guys back on more better deals. And what was it there? Oh, and then for Cam Johnson too. Like everybody thought this guy was going to be making $25 million a year, and maybe there's a team out there, and it's going to be 2 years from now when they can make that offer. But we can still either give him a qualifying offer or just not give him a qualifying offer and just keep him on his contract, which would end at the end of next season. So, I think it's good news for the Suns. I think one of the things, and honestly, like it sounds really fucked up, but I was really hoping that Devin Booker was going to be first team All NBA because then he wouldn't get the Supermax, and then that would give us more money to spend on other guys, and then it would make him more pissed off. But we didn't get that. So, and props to Book, he deserved it 100%. But I just felt like the way that the league has viewed our team in terms of awards, we've been screwed over many, many times, especially in the last couple of years. So I was just expecting that to happen again. But I mean, that's my thought on the Suns.
Besides the whole COVID fucking story, that's the last thing I wanted to listen to. But just to touch on it real quick, just a cap on put a cap on the sports talk for tonight. I don't know if you guys are big football guys. I'm guessing a couple of y'all are. More Deshaun Watson stuff came out in the last couple of days. It's pretty heavy stuff. Like, I'm a guy that solely believes in innocent until proven guilty. But when women keep on stepping forward and things start tying more and more together, the more you look into it, and when the numbers start to be really overbearing, and it's going to be a hard conversation to have, especially if you're in charge of the Cleveland Browns, because you low-key kind of fucked yourself, because you brought in a QB that you didn't know if they'll be available right away. Obviously, criminally, he's not going to be charged, but during the civil dispute, he might get everything in the kitchen sink. So, but like, with the Cleveland Browns fucking themselves, they already ruffled the feathers of Baker Mayfield. Like, if I was him, with this whole Deshaun Watson stuff going on right now, I would even ask to get cut or whatever, just to exclude yourself from the situation.
And Baker's on the team still.
On this team. Baker's still on the team, and
it makes me wonder, because they went all in on Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
And they didn't make any trades they didn't do anything with Baker. And it makes me think that maybe they thought that this could happen with him. And maybe they're like, okay, well, at least we have a backup plan, right? Because okay, so who was the guy? Was it Calvin Ridley, the one that got suspended for gambling? Or who was the guy that got suspended?
Yeah, it was Calvin Ridley. Yeah.
And how many games did he get? Do you remember?
It was a year.
So
that's the minimum.
God.
That's the minimum.
That's what the NFL values. They value integrity of the game, right? But they don't value integrity of the players. And if Deshaun Watson is not suspended at least 8 games, because that's what Hopkins got, right? He got 8 or 6.
6.
Yeah. So that's integrity of. I mean, come on, man. Like, be real, dude. Like, how can you even? This guy should not be in the NFL.
No. Like, how long was Ray Rice's suspension initially?
Oh, I think he's kicked out of the league.
Like, so originally, I do remember this after that whole, that whole thing. Like, the Ravens did cut him, but the NFL said that he can come back after X amount of games. Like, it wasn't a full season. I think it was 6 or 7 weeks.
Really?
Yeah,
and nobody signed him.
But no one signed them. That was the thing.
Yeah, because the visuals, there was an actual video, right?
Yeah,
like if we had a video of Watson, this guy he'd be done, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And let's be real, dude. Like, this guy, he's not Cosby, but he's putting up Cosby numbers.
Yeah, yes.
Cosby's the MJ of sexually assaulting women. And I'm not trying to make it positive and be funny. I'm just really serious. Like,
no,
this dude is the GOAT of that, right? And Watson is trying to get in the GOAT status.
Yeah, like the numbers are crazy, and with the masseuses, a lot of those women are just independent contractors in a sense. So they're just working for themselves, and some probably regret some actions, some were probably forced into uncomfortable situations, and no matter what angle you look at it, it does not look good for Deshaun Watson. Again, I do believe in innocent until proven guilty, but it's to the point where it's too much women are stepping forward. Yeah, thank you, Sonia. Yeah, 24 civil suits. That's a lot. So
the Cosby thing, right? Because I loved Bill Cosby. The Cosby Show, I grew up on that show.
Yeah.
So to think that all was fake and tarnished and just totally thrown away, it's kind of like the Sun season. And I'm always gonna make comparisons back to the Sun seasons on things that disappointed me. You're just gonna hear that until this thing gets flipped around. So basically, I remember it was 4 women had come out, and I'm like, well, let's just let's pump the brakes and see it. And then when it became 12, I'm like, okay, bro, 12 women 12 are not just making up stories, and the stories are similar. And so immediately when it was Deshaun Watson, when it was like 3, I'm like, this guy, there's going to be like 20. You know what I mean? And it ended up being 24. So, and probably even more than that. There's probably a lot of women that didn't even want to speak up because they're afraid for their livelihood, afraid for like what would happen to them. So it's more than 24. We can all say that with a guarantee, because he reached out to like 67 women or something. And I'm like, and first of all, anybody that has a barber, anybody that has a masseuse, if you find somebody that works for you,
you stick with them.
You always stick with them.
Yeah.
Like I've had the same barber for like 8 years. And I have long hair, dude. I don't even like, all he does is shave the sides.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I trust him. And I didn't have it before. This is my COVID hair, by the way. I've had this hair for 3 years just because I couldn't get a haircut. So I just grew it out. But yeah, I mean, like, you know, anything, a dentist or whatever it is, right? Like you trust that person, you have camaraderie with them. You're not going to like have 67 masseuses in like a period of like whatever time period it was, which is ridiculous, especially for a professional athlete that has to get those types of stretches and massages and things to make sure that they're performing at their best. This dude is a predator. He should not be playing in NFL.
So,
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. You lagged and I thought you were done. Westville, to answer your question, so when you work in professional sports, especially the NFL and NBA, there is certain extensions through the league of people that specialize in that stuff, being masseuses or physical therapists, so on and so forth, just outside sources. No matter what team you play for, even AAU, that they have some sort of connections like that. So what Deshaun was doing, originally he was going through, the team sources, but then he started outsourcing into, just like a hole in the wall or just independent chicks, and just going into them. Some said he was really respectful, whatever, tipped and all that stuff, but like all these stories are the same after those 3 or 4 that said that he was respectful. And like sexual predator. He's a great QB, but you can't have this in the league. And especially if you're banning players for a year for gambling on a game that they had no ties to.
Which, on top of that, we can all gamble on. We can all gamble on those games. All gamble on. Yeah. It is online gambling. We can gamble, depending on your state, you can gamble anywhere. So it's available to you. And if I remember correctly, he wasn't even gambling on the games that he was playing on. He was gambling on other games.
Yeah.
So it's like if you and I invest, like if we knew it's like if we wanted to play in the stock market and we wanted to, invest in a competitive company that you work for a company, and the competitor, you want to put money on them because you think that they're going to make more money. Well, that's not insider trading. That's just, your own sort of analyst work and saying, okay, well, I think they're going to do better than us, I'm going to do it. The same thing. He's not doing, unless he's out there like influencing those games somehow by the players and talking to them. There's no way like that. I don't think that's wrong. If we're making all this shit legal to make money, but then we're saying players can't do it. Come on, man. Come on.
Yeah. And Whistle, to add, answer your question. So if I remember correctly, when Deshaun requested a trade, like the Texans owner, oh no, actually, okay. So the lawyer that's representing most of the women, he actually lives down the street from the Texans owner, and that it's like that. Okay, so I think some inside stuff happened between like the office and whatever. Yeah, I think they were sitting on this information for a while before it was even released, because this one lawyer is representing at least 12, if I remember correctly. And I think he's
representing at least 20 now.
Yeah, I think he's representing at least 20 now. So I think he's been, conducting like all this stuff for a while now. I think this was kind of common knowledge with the Texans. So I think that's how it sort of happened. But this stuff gets leaked all the time. So yeah, so let's put a cap in the sports talk and just push it forward. Like hopefully this lawsuit, whatever it is, gets settled, and no harm, no foul, going forward, because we definitely don't want to see that shit in the league, especially the games that we'd be watching. And Deshaun Watson, he's a great quarterback and stuff, but you can't have that in the league, man. I mean, there's a reason why Michael Vick got suspended. There's a reason why Kareem Hunt got suspended for X amount of time. And
you mentioned Ray Rice, and there's many of them. I mean,
Ray Rice,
look, dude, I'm not here to hold down a young black man for making his money. But if you're gonna be a piece of shit, then there's no reason why you should be in the league.
Exactly. It's straight Jeffrey Epstein activity.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
it's taking advantage of your power over women that are, again, like you said, like they're contractors, they're independent workers. They're just trying to make a living. They're just trying to do something that they are passionate about, and they specialized it and got certified or whatever. And this dude's out here trying to jack off in their face. Like, it's just wrong. It's wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a heavy subject, just thinking about all those women going through that uncomfortable situation. I go out of my way to be out of uncomfortable situations, and I can't even imagine that happened to me. So prayers up to those women. Hopefully they can figure it all out. But let's get into what's in the rotation. Ahmed, you want to start everything that you've been watching? Before you go, I was reading some stuff on Twitter about episode 4 of Kenobi, and I heard it was disappointing. What's your opinion about that?
So where are you at right now?
So I finished the Phantom Menace today.
Okay. So let me not talk about it because it will spoil it. So let's just skip that.
I honestly don't care for me personally, but I don't know if there's any Star Wars.
Okay. So I'm going to give a spoiler alert to anybody listening right now that hasn't watched Obi-Wan Kenobi season 4 up to this point.
This is coming up, Westville.
I have a big opinion about that. So the first 3 episodes are like a movie, because this story was originally going to be like a movie, and they extended it to a limited series. And some people have problems with episode 3. I really liked it. Episode 1 and 2 were really well done. It's just a movie. Episode 4 was a 34-minute episode, which all the other episodes were like 50 minutes plus. So they ran longer. So the story was like a little bit more drawn out. There was a little bit more dialogue and detail. This was more like a spy thriller. There was a lot of really funky stuff that happened in this episode. But, and I never played Jedi Fallen, but it ties a lot back to video game, which is kind of funny. Because that's canon too. Like all that stuff is canon, the video games. But I'm trying not to spoil it too much, but I'll just say this: like, there's too much Leia, because there's a lot of little baby 10-year-old Leia in this whole entire limited series, and it's gone. Now we're into episode 4. It's definitely going to be in episode 5. Hopefully, it wraps up before that. I just feel like it's taking away from the big story, which is you have Obi-Wan and you got Darth Vader, and that's what we want to see. That's what everybody came to see. Everybody came to see not only Darth Vader, they came to see Anakin, Hayden Christensen. So whether it's a flashback, and we've seen him without his helmet on, but he's just in a Bacta tank, just making faces. Like, it's not like a real like Hayden Christensen thing. So either we need a flashback, or we need him to take his helmet off, or we need him to do something else. I still believe that the series can land this thing, but it's good. Like, trust me, like, I am here for all this content. I will always be here for all the Star Wars content. I think I mentioned last time when we made the list, I'm like, all this stuff could always be a 5 for me. But if you were to tell me to rank this against like Boba Fett and Mandalorian, what's that?
Sounds like Secrets of Dumbledore.
Oh, I didn't even watch. I'm not a Harry Potter guy. My son's getting a Harry Potter now, so I think I'll be a Harry Potter guy in a couple of years. But no, it's probably like bottom versus Mandalorian's number 1, Boba Fett's number 2, and this is probably number 3. for the limited series that they put on Disney. But yeah, so where are you at? You said you're in Phantom Menace, right?
Yeah, I just finished Phantom Menace today.
So tell me your order that you've watched. You're watching on the release order?
Yeah, I'm watching on release order, and so Phantom Menace is the 4th movie. So
okay.
So I forget what's next. I think it's
Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, it's Attack of the Clones. Yeah,
that's a tough watch, bro. That's a tough watch.
That's the one with General Kenobi, right? Or no,
Count Dooku.
Yeah, my fault. Like I said,
I mean, look, like there's some pretty badass lightsaber fights in that movie, but the dialogue is terrible. And it's definitely the worst out of the prequels because I think everyone would put Revenge of the Sith number 1, they put Phantom Menace number 2, and they put that third. I think those 3 movies, what they do is they really build out the story because we didn't get a lot of what was happening in those other movies, like in terms of like the entire universe. Those 3 movies build out the entire universe really, really well. And when I go back and watch them, they're brilliant to me in terms of like telling this larger story of what's happening in the universe and why the Jedi are kind of failing and why there's an opportunity for the Sith to come up and, like those types of things. And then I think hopefully at some point in the future, we'll see that the sequel trilogy will have some sort of brilliance to it. I'm hoping. I talked about I liked the movies, but there's a lot of problems with them. But like you really have to fill in between those series with the Clone Wars and Rebels.
I was thinking General Grievous.
That's Grievous, dude.
Yeah, that's who I was thinking of. Is he in Attack of the Clones? Or is he in the next one?
I think he's in Revenge of the Sith. I can't remember if he's in Attack of the Clones.
Okay.
Yeah. He has some pretty epic fight scenes. But he's in Clone Wars.
Okay.
And he's in a few other things.
For the people that don't know, I'm currently rewatching all the Star Wars movies. I watched them 10 plus years ago, and I do not remember a lick of any of it. So I'm currently rewatching the movies in release order, and I just finished The Phantom Menace today. Amit mentioned he's never been a Harry Potter guy. I wasn't either until I sat down with me and my future wife, not my fiance yet. I haven't popped the question yet. We sat down and we finally watched the movies, and they are amazing movies. I love Harry Potter to death. We did a test. I'm what was it? Well, she's Hufflepuff and I'm Slytherin. So, the Secrets of Dumbledore. I really liked it personally. I'm getting to Fantastic Beasts as well eventually. So I'm still going to press forward with the Star Wars stuff. I just had a busy week. I meant to watch at least 2 to 3. It just never happened. So I made it a point to get to Phantom Menace today. But let's talk about one of the craziest seasons of a show I've seen in recent memory. Let's talk about Stranger Things season 4. Me and my girl, we finished it last night.
Oh, you finished the whole thing? You finished it?
Yeah, we finished the whole thing. Yeah. So
awesome. Okay.
So part 2 comes out.
Spoiler alert. We are talking about the show that is on.
Yes.
Do not get upset. We are going to talk spoilers.
That season 4 is by far the best season of the show. The villain alone, he's on the thumbnail. The villain alone, that dude is creepy as shit. And just all the deaths too. Like they show every single death in the most gruesome.
It's gone from like ever. Being sort of like this sort of creepy stuff to like straight up just like horror. You know what I mean? Like the way like the deaths and stuff. And actually, I think it's because there's more volume of deaths versus like the first few seasons. Yeah. Well, actually, no, I can't say that because season 3 had a lot of people die. but there weren't anybody that like really meant anything to the story. It was just a bunch of random people, right?
Ooh,
So let me ask you this question, because Dustin says this, and he says that Vecna is the 5-star general to the Mind Flayer.
Yeah.
Dustin has been right almost every time. And if you remember, Steve says, yeah, man, this kid needs to check his ego.
Yeah.
I think he's wrong. I think he's wrong. I think Vecna is the top dog.
Really?
What do you think?
I don't know. Like you said, Dustin's been right throughout the whole series about just these wild epiphanies that just come out of nowhere. I'm a roll with Dustin's theory that he's only the 5-star general. I feel like there's something bigger because part 2 of season 4 comes out in a little less than a month now, and we'll be able to see where this unfolds. I think there's something. I think there's another layer to this iceberg. It would be lower, another lower level to what this upside down world is, and Vecna is just crazy, dude. I just want to address just the overall storytelling. Just about everybody is disconnected. No one is together at this point. So you have these group of guys back in what is it, California? Are they in California?
Yeah, there's the California crew, there's the Russia crew, and then there's the Hawkins crew.
Yeah. So the Russian crew,
on top of that, not only are they like separated, right? Like they're all separated, but they're all like it's that weird period where you go from like I don't know if you ever had a friend in like middle school that was kind of like a dork, or maybe you were the dork, or I was a dork in middle school, and then I went to high school and I made dork friends, but then like after freshman year I was like, I got to make cooler friends. Yeah. And it's like that weird, it's that really crappy period where like you turn away from people that you've known for a long period of time because like you want to be cool. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I feel like all these kids are kind of in that weird age where it's like the friendships are going to grow apart, and they don't understand that yet, but it's happening already.
No, I really related to that because like me, I'm a new father in a sense, and I just grew up really quickly. So like after graduation, it was kind of just one thing after another with me. So like unintentionally, I kind of distanced myself away from my friends and stuff. Like I have all this going on right now. So like watching that kind of unfold, just watching the show was really relatable. And I definitely understood sort of that because Sinclair, he's part of the basketball team now, and he hit that game winner. He's part of the Jocks and stuff. And the show is sort of directing you towards him more falling into the lap of the Jocks and stuff, wanting to be the cool kid and stuff. But finally, something clicked, and he obviously changed his opinion on things. But I love how they implemented the satanic panic.
Yeah,
because it falls right in that timeline. And I've done so many school reports about just that subject alone, and it was a wild time. Obviously it was 20 years before me, but that was a true thing. And have you heard of the West Memphis 3? Have you heard of that group?
No. Refresh my memory. Maybe I know. I don't know.
Okay, so the West Memphis 3 was 3 kids that lived in this real poor part of Memphis, Tennessee. And some kid died. I think it was like a couple kids. Some kids died, and they were hogtied and thrown into like a lake and stuff. And one of the kids that were accused was a guy that listened to like Iron Maiden and stuff. And a local cop he was really religious, had very strong opinions. Basically framed these 3 kids. 2 were friends. 1 was a guy that lived in the same trailer park as the 2 other kids. And that whole town took the satanic panic very seriously. And those 3 kids were accused, sent to jail, sent to prison, and then they didn't get out until I think 10 to 15 years later. And it turns out that like it wasn't them at all. So that case just got reopened again, and I think I know who it is. But there's a documentary on it on HBO Max. I recommend watching it. It's very sad, especially the first 20 seconds because you actually see the bodies getting taken out of the water and stuff. Your discretion is advised. But yeah, it was just like I've done so many reports and just overall watching stuff in that time period when it comes to just religion and stuff because it's fascinating as fuck. So I'm glad they implemented the satanic panic within that because that's essentially what this is. Like there's people flying in the fucking sky and like their bodies start breaking in every which way. But
I mean, yeah. So I'm glad that they included that because I didn't know about that growing up. Like I was too young to understand. I wasn't watching the news. I couldn't really comprehend what was going on. But reading about it later, it was like, oh, that's because it all stemmed from Dungeons and Dragons, right? Like it was all because kids were playing Dungeons and Dragons and it was creating this whole thing.
D&D.
And it's really to tie it all together. And I thought about this is so Winona Ryder was in a movie called The Crucible, and I believe it was 1996, which she plays a witch in Salem, Massachusetts, in like 1862 or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. The reason I remember this movie and the reason I remember Winona Ryder, because I was 15 or 14 at the time when I saw this, she's fully nude in that movie. So I will always be connected to her. Like I'm like Will Byers in the Upside Down, and me and her are always connected. Where that was my first movie, watching a full nude woman in a show. And then after that, things get, we won't talk about what happened after that with me, but it's interesting that how the connections work, right? Like that movie, talking about Satanic Panic, that's pretty much what the Salem witch trials were. And she's in that movie and she's naked. And that was the first time I saw a woman naked on screen. So, yeah, anyways, getting back to the story itself, right? So you finished it. You're done. You finished it. Okay. All right. Any theories as to how this will end?
I think they'll get to Vecna. I feel like so between Nance, Steve, and Dustin, I feel like one of those three are gonna die. I don't think it's gonna be Dustin. I think it might be Steve.
Okay. I can see that. I don't agree with it. If I have to pick a death watch, I would put Eddie Munson number 1 on that death watch because so he talked about the whole time how he's a coward. And then he did a courageous thing by jumping into the lake and going down with them. And if you saw a trailer, there's one trailer where he's in the Upside Down playing the guitar.
Yeah.
And it made me think when Nancy gets pulled in that he's playing that guitar to pull Nancy out of the Upside Down, and then he gets sucked in or, gets killed or whatever.
Yeah.
Eaten by the bats or whatever. So when somebody tells you that they're not courageous and they keep saying it, and then you see them doing things, I feel like he might be maybe the Billy of this season, where he does the most courageous thing and sacrifices his life. Well, actually, it's not even the same thing because Billy was already dead at that point. But, I feel like Eddie might be that guy, and he's like a new character too, and we've fallen in love with that guy. I fucking love that guy. I love everything about him. His hair. He's British. That guy's British.
Yeah. I didn't find that out until like 6 months after that third season came out. Yeah.
Or no, not Billy, but Eddie too. Eddie's British.
Oh, Eddie's British? Oh, I can see that.
Yeah. And you could hear it, like if you already know it, then you can hear it like when he says things, because he says things really weirdly. Yeah. When he slows down, his tone changes. But I would put Eddie at the number 1 spot. I really think because of all the nostalgia that they've built with these characters, and let's be real, like they really killed some people that we really cared about. Like they killed Bob, they killed Billy, they killed Barb, even though it was like two episodes in, but it was like she was such an innocent person to just get fucking slaughtered the way she did, and then we had to see her again dead in season 4, and Nancy had to relive that whole thing.
The bottom of the pool.
Like, so who knows? But they're not really subtle about things in this episode. And so here's one thing I'll say. Why I think that the Vecna is the end game boss is because people have gone back and pulled out like episodes from season 1 or moments from season 1 and season 2 when Billy gets accosted by the Mind Flayer, when Will gets thrown into the Upside Down, where you hear the grandfather clock ticking in the background. And so it makes me think that Vecna is the main guy, and he's been setting this whole thing up to get 11. And he's been targeting her, like, or even the Mind Flayer was targeting her, right? Mm-hmm. So I really think that he is the end boss. Maybe there's another boss that they'll go to in season 5, but yeah, man. I mean, so why don't we do this? I had a couple questions for you. Yeah. So why don't you tell me who are your 3 favorite characters
of this season or just all season? Steve is a favorite of mine. Dude is hilarious, very witty. I like him a lot. My second would have to be that I think that guy's native, the guy with the long hair, and he wears like the Wesley Snipes, the white man can't jump hat.
Are you talking about Argyle from season 4?
Yeah, season 4. Yeah, that native guy. Yeah, the stoner guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's funny as shit.
He's good. He's good.
But like my third, I'm just gonna go with Vecna because like he is a great villain, and
yeah,
like when he just makes his introduction and stuff, and basically he operates like the Ring. Like you have 7 days. You know, once you see me, is basically barbecue chicken after that. So, like that grandfather clock, like no matter if I'm paying attention or not, that shit draws me in every time. And like he's by far the scariest villain that's been like incorporated with the show. Like the Demogorgon was like cool in the first season, but that fight scene when it was Hopper and that Russian guard and those other Russian inmates and stuff, and when they let that Demogorgon out, oh my god! I wish that was the Demogorgon that we got in season 1. That I just tore shit up. It's just like fucked everything up around. Like that was a great scene.
And that Demogorgon was like more gray skinned, I believe.
Yeah.
The one in the original was like a black skin.
Yeah, it was like brown and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, my third favorite is I don't know his name in the show, I forget, but it's the guy that yells a lot of the glasses.
Maury.
Yeah, Maury. He is funny as shit because I just think of the other guys.
Yeah.
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 No, he's great. Yeah. So, those would be my 3. What about you?
Yeah. So my favorite character, I like Billy. Billy is the redhead girl's bigger brother, the one that dies in season 3. So he's not in this season. He's in this season as like a cameo when she's like in getting like fucked around with Vecna. I really liked his character, one, because you could tell this guy was faking the whole badass the whole time, even though he still was a badass, but he had so much childhood trauma in him that made him really fucking cool. He was so 80s, which I loved about him. Mm-hmm. That dude could hoop. If you remember, he put the Steve the Harrington on the ground a couple times with some crossovers. So that dude could hoop, right? Let's sign him up on the Suns. Fuck campaign. Let's get this dude on the team. but I just loved at the end, like he pulled the whole Vader thing, like he
Yeah.
just redeemed himself at the end, and that's what I loved about his character. And I wish we would have seen more of him as a good guy, because I
Yeah.
think him being a good guy would really like just fill our hearts with so much warmth. But because he was a bad guy and the way the show goes, we're not going to see that. But he was a guy that I always wanted to see more of on screen. Um, I think my number 2 guy, I think it's Dustin, because that dude is just spitting bars all the time.
Goated.
He's
Yeah.
he's telling y'all what to do, and y'all aren't listening to what he's telling you to do, right? Like that's the guy that you guys need to follow. And yes, his ego is out of control, and he talks a lot of shit, especially to Steve and other older people. He tells people to like he's talking shit. Like the dude talks his shit. So the reason, and if I were to say that, then my next logical person I would put is Erica, because she
Yeah.
talks her shit too.
She talks
But
about shit.
I think Dustin's put in more work, so I'm not, even though Erica's younger than him, but Dustin's really put the work in, right? Like he's been doing this shit for 4 seasons. Like Erica's been doing it for like a season and a half. But I loved it when she was like talking to cops and like, yo, these motherfuckers are bullshit. She's like, yo, these guys are straight lying to you. Like, and the cops can't even figure it out. I love Erica. And number 3, my favorite person on Stranger Things. I keep going back and forth on so many people because I really love the characters. I love the dynamic that they have.
There's
together.
a lot of good characters.
I got to go with the hair. Steve Harrington. The dude is just always babysitting. He's always babysitting, and keeps calling him out. The dude was an asshole in the first season. He had a redemption arc. He fought a Demogorgon in the first season. This guy like built this whole relationship with Dustin, and they probably are the best duo on the whole show. Is those two guys?
Oh yeah. Them two together are great. It's them and then Maury and what's her name? But yeah,
and Maury is my honorable mention. The only because I think like he's funny, but like season 4 he gets even funnier when he starts doing the karate shit on the Russian. And he's just like, oh yeah, like he's just like dude's totally like irrationally confident about his karate skills, which I loved. I loved that part. But yeah, he's number 4. So let me ask you this: who would you say is let's go top 3 badasses of Stranger Things?
Billy. I mean, Billy, Dustin, and you would have to Billy, Dustin, and I'll do Steve. Billy, Dustin, Steve. I was gonna say Nance. But it's a toss up between Nance and Steve. No, I'm gonna do Nance. So So
I support that.
Billy,
I support
Dustin,
changing your mind.
Yeah.
No, because Nance is always put in a position where, like, either it's like a misogynistic group of people, or she just like, yo, man, let's go to my house and get some fucking guns, bro. Like, she's just like, yo, let's do this shit. She ain't fucking around. She's like, I got it. She's like, I'm jumping. She's been in the Upside Down now twice.
Yeah.
If you remember, was it season 1 or 2? I don't remember when she goes in, she just goes in.
Yeah.
And she survives. So she's a fucking badass.
Mm-hmm.
My number 1 badass is Bob. Shots of Bob, R.I.P. Bob, season 2. This guy saved all of them, and then had to die at the. Was it a Demogorgon or was it a Demodog? It was a Demodog. I think it was a Demodog.
Yeah, it was a Demodog, yeah.
Got his throat ripped out. But the guy was a nerd, dude. The guy was a straight nerd. He wasn't like these kids. So that's where I separate it. Where it's like you got all these like teenagers and they're just like irrationally confident. Like they're myopic. They have no idea what like life is. So them doing like this crazy shit that they do is like normal for them. But for Bob, who's like a 40-year-old middle-aged dude who's just trying to settle down and, marry Winona Ryder, he's just like, now he's like, what was he, a pharmacist, or I don't remember what he was, but he was just like he was just a normal dude. He was just he was just another guy. He was a jag, and like he's out here like fucking going like Tom Cruise in these movies, to save these kids, to save the women he loves. Like that's the most badass out of everybody that I remember. Number 2's got to be Nancy, because she just keeps going. Or did I say put her number 1, or I can't remember what I said. Just said.
You said Nance first, and Bob.
Nance number 1. Okay, so she's 1, he's 2. Number 3. I don't think, and I know you put Dustin in your top 3, and I don't think he is courageous. I think he's just really smart.
Yeah.
Because if you really think about it, like he never really puts himself in trouble, other than season 3 at the mall court fight scene. But that was like everybody was in like in trouble at that point, right? Like we're all fighting. Is it crazy to think that Will's brother? What's Will's brother's name? Mike? No.
Jonathan.
Is it crazy to think that he's number 3? Because a lot of his missions
he's bad about it when he's put in that situation. Like he'll do whatever.
Like he did everything when his brother was in the Upside Down. He did everything for his brother.
Yeah,
like he was doing everything for his mom. He was going with Nance and doing all that crazy shit with her. Like, and he jumped in the Upside Down too a couple times to save her. So I would put Jonathan number 3.
Yeah, Jonathan is definitely underrated. He's about it when he's put in that situation to start saving, especially when Will was put in the Upside Down like right away. But yeah, season 4, great. Like I can't wait until part 2 of it comes out July 1st.
One last question for you. Yeah. One last question. Who is the worst parent? And at some point on this After Dark podcast, we're going to do parent talk and talk shit about our kids and, tell about parenting. Who is the worst parent in this show?
Bro. Because, like, what's funny is that they're just typical late 70s, early 80s parents, like just so loose. And it's like, oh, be back, whatever.
Yeah.
I will give you the funniest parent. It's Nance's dad.
And he's my worst parent, by the way.
Oh, really? He's so monotone,
and he's no idea what's happening with his daughter. She's getting fucked all over the place. He has no idea what's happening. His son is harboring another fugitive in his basement for months. He has no idea what's happening there. And then his wife is about to fuck Billy. This guy has no idea what the fuck is going on. Right?
Oh, the worst parent is Dustin's Shorty's dad.
The Mormon guy?
Yeah. He's by far the worst.
That guy's just overwhelmed. Let's just say, so he only had the Wheelers had 3 kids. That mofo had 14 kids. So let's just say he's overwhelmed. Let's just say it's not bad parenting. It's just dude, I got to survive. I got to figure this shit. And he literally is trying to survive his kids. They're trying to kill him. Right? Yeah. So, but I keep going back. I'm like, Nancy's dad's got to be the worst, bro. And that even includes Billy's dad, who was abusive and a piece of garbage, right?
Yeah.
That includes them, because at least he was attentive to his son to a certain degree. He was trying to correct his behavior. I'm not saying it was right. I can completely condone it, but he was there, and the girl did okay. The girl was growing up okay. I will say this: Will's mom, Nancy Winona Ryder, she flipped, bro. Remember, she was so overprotective of Will.
Yeah.
And then she's like, hey, I'm just going to go to Russia. I'm literally going to Russia or Alaska or whatever she told them. You guys figure it out for the weekend. Your brother's in charge. I think he'll be okay. I'm just going.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, she flipped the switch.
Wild stuff.
Which I respect, because after you go through something like that with your kid twice, actually. Like you went through that with your kid twice. At that point, it's like fuck it, you just roll with the punches going forward. And plus, like she's madly in love with Hopper, so like she just wants she wants him back in the States. And
Do you
it,
think?
it, yeah.
Do you think it was a mistake not to tell those kids the truth? Because I think if I think if she would have just told them the truth and be like, "Yo, dude, there's some really wild shit happening. Hopper is alive and he's in Russia. Don't ask any more questions. I'm about to find that fool. But you guys need to be safe." Like, do you think that's wrong?
I don't think it would change the story anymore. Like when she had that conversation with the kids and stuff, when she was saying that she was leaving, did was anything happening at that time? What, like, did the first murder already happen with Chrissy?
Well, here's another bad mom thing. Jonathan was so high at the table.
Yeah, that dude was gone.
Couldn't comprehend what he was saying.
What?
Yeah, and Argyle's there. This guy, the main, he's the pot head, like he's the number one in pothead rankings on the show. And this guy's explaining to Jonathan what's happening. He's like, "Yo, man, your mom's about to bounce the Alaska," and he's like, "What? What?" He has no idea what happened.
After they talked about it for 5 minutes, like, "You're going to Alaska?"
It was just, I mean. So, yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I agree that, like, even if she would have said, like, the truth to them, I don't think it would have changed anything because those fools were too high. And I think Will was too preoccupied with Mike and Elle, that these guys were going to do whatever was going to happen anyways. Like, that was going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, she's gone. They're going to fuck around. That's it.
And I like the 3 storyline thing. I feel like if they, like, added a character to another group or vice versa and stuff, I feel like it would have changed some things around. Not necessarily it's sticking. Like, I like the Maury and her going to Alaska, dealing with all that bullshit, and I like the California crew after 11 gets into trouble at the skating rink, gets put in handcuffs. Hey, that bully, I forget her name, of 11.
Angela?
Angela. Fuck her, dude. Like, she got hit with a rubber wheel. It wasn't even like the metal bracket of it.
Dude, if we're talking 80s, like, the cops aren't showing up for that. Like, the cops are not showing up at your house for that. In the 80s,
they'll pull you by your ear. They'll take you to
like you got to deal with that shit on your own. Like, the cops are not coming. Maybe the parents get involved, maybe, but like in the 80s, like, that wouldn't happen. That was unrealistic. That whole thing, they should have just skipped that part and had the FBI show up to collect her rather than having like that interim thing, because that didn't make any sense to me. Like, you're not getting arrested for that, dude. You're not getting arrested for that.
Yeah, no, and like.
And there's no adult. So how can you take a minor when there's no adult, like, guardian there to, like, sign off, or, you know what I mean? Like, you can't just take a kid and put him in jail. Yeah. Imagine if, like, someone came in and put your kid in jail. They'd be like, what the, like, you know what's funny is, like, my son, like, this dude fucked with me. He was at school and he's like, "Yeah, I went and saw a nurse and she gave me a COVID shot. She gave me my booster shot." And I was like, "Wait, what?" He's like, "Yeah, she gave it to me." And I was like, but I didn't get any phone call, nothing. Like, I didn't know. Like, I'm about to, like, because I'm like in my mind, I'm like about to fucking lose it, right? Like, I'm about to go crazy on my school. He's like, no. That's what it felt like when I fell down and I got poked or whatever. And I was just like, dude, like, you can't, like, that sort of stuff. If he came in and is like, "Yeah, teacher touched me," and I'm like, I'm gonna go kill somebody. Like, what's happening? Like, you can't mess with people that way. It's the same thing. It's just like, if you get, like, she didn't get stabbed, she didn't get shot, she didn't get, a lot of things happened to her, and the police are showing up. I mean, it just seemed awkward.
Yeah, like, it was silly, and plus it was recorded, and like, there was at least 50 to 60 people that were there, and I feel like at least maybe 10 of them can vouch that, like, it was, like, like, she was kind of asking for it.
She's defending herself.
She was defending herself. Yeah. And dude, the 2 guys that are with her group are the worst sort of guys. It's the the guys in the girl group, and they talk the most shit, and they're like the most like cuckiest, like like
Yeah, no. Do you remember? Do you remember season 1 when they those guys, the same sort of dudes were doing that to Nancy. I want to say her real name. I want to say Natalie, but her name's Natalia, and I keep freezing, but her name's Nancy in the show. When they put the thing on the theater, and it was the same sort of cucks. Like they were just like, who had no girlfriends, by the way. Like who were their girlfriends? They were just,
they have no bitches, bro.
yeah, they were talking shit on Nancy, and they had no business talking shit on Nancy, and they were talking shit as if like Steve wanted it, and he didn't want them to talk shit about her.
Yeah, those guys are the absolute worst. Like they just bring up a lot of high school memories of me just like walking by and just hearing conversations from those sort of guys. I was just like, oh God. But dude, season 4, Stranger Things, absolutely amazing. Like let's get into something that you recommended. Some of your recommendations going forward. I'm pretty sure I spelled that right. I didn't get a red line underneath. I'm pretty sure that's spelled correctly.
You're missing a C, I think.
Let's see.
I don't know, man. Word has made me like completely. I used to win spelling championships. I can't do anymore.
We're gonna roll with it. I'll throw it up for a second, then I'll take it off so I don't get roasted.
Yeah. So who was the person that was asking about We Own the City?
I think that was Westville. Let me see if I can find it. It was Westville right here.
Are you still on Westfield? Hopefully they're still on. So, so I have a ton of recommendations. I'm gonna leave one for this, and I will say, The Wire is required television watching for anybody that watches drama, because not only is it like the realest show and one of the most well put together shows you'll see, but the characters you find in that show grow and change and morph, kind of like WWE villains into different people, that it's just worth watching. And it's dated because it's like from 2002 to 2008, so it's this very specific time period. People are using like flip phones, like it's weird, but you get a real sense of how police work, how the Baltimore government works, how communities that are impoverished and underserved, what happens there. And it's more of a documentary than it is an actual drama show, because at the end of it, you just kind of feel just dark inside. So David Simon, George Pelicanos, they were the guys that were two of the creators of that show. I can't remember if Ed Burns was still part of that, but they basically created this new show called We Own the City, which is a limited series, 6-episode show on HBO Max. I can't say enough good things about this show. So it basically, so when you watch it, like you're like, oh, it's The Wire, right? But it's not The Wire, because The Wire was a fictional story. This is a factual story. It is taking transcripts from court depositions and witness testimony. It is taking wiretaps. It is taking body camera language and putting it. And these are, so like 80% of the show is actual things that these guys said, right? There's one character that's created for the show that's kind of like the audience person, that kind of tells you the story from her perspective, but everything else is real. All these people are real. This happened in Baltimore, which is the most ironic thing, because Baltimore, The Wire ran from 2002 to 2008. This show runs from 2005 to 2017. So it overlaps with the fictional story, but it is more scarier, more fucked up than what happens in The Wire. And on top of all that, and I remember you guys, I saw you guys talking about John Bernthal and talking about like Marvel
Oh yeah, Punisher and shit. Yeah.
John Bernthal puts on maybe his best performance in this show.
Really?
As Wayne Jenkins, a corrupt cop in the Baltimore City Police Department. His character is so electric, it makes me think of like The Rock, like when like 2001 Rock, like in the WWE. Like it is so electric, his character. He is on a trajectory now as an actor as maybe like Robert Downey Jr. Like I really think like because he's in so much stuff, right? Like he's in this, he was in the Will Smith movie about Venus Williams. I can't remember the name. King Richard.
Yeah, King Richard. That was a good one. Yeah.
He was in a few other things. He was in Walking Dead. He's the Punisher. This dude's gonna be the Punisher again, dude. Like,
oh yeah,
he's so like his superstar status is so atomic right now. Like you can't even touch him. And when you see
Wall Street, he was great.
Wall Street, another one. There was another show that I was thinking of that he was in. But yeah, I mean, this dude is elite.
Yeah.
And you can't take your eyes off him, and he's the bad guy. And you're going, man, I hope that bad. Like you're just rooting for him, you know, and like he is just. But he's so complicated as a character. So, anyways, I mean, we own this city. It probably is my favorite show that I watched in probably the last 18 months. And it's done by the same crew that did The Wire. And there's a bunch of Wire characters that are now 20 years removed from being in that show that are playing different characters. Jamie Hector is another one who played. He played. What's the guy's name? It starts with an M. God, he was one of the most iconic characters. Not Omar, the other dude, the other drug dealer. Anyways, hold on. Let me look it up real quick because I don't want to mess this up because if I tell you the name, you'll be like, oh, I need to see this guy because he was so good. He had the best line in any movie I've ever seen where he's like, or any show, where he's like, you know, he's talking to like the security cop in The Wire and he goes, you thought it was going to go this way, but it goes the other way. And it was just so baller and just so like gangster at the same time. Marlo.
Oh, okay, Marlo.
Yeah, he plays Marlo. And so he's playing a cop in this, where he's not the gangster, he's a cop, but he puts on one of the best performances in a while. I mean, if I could just get more David Simon stuff, more George Pelicano stuff, I would love it. Those guys are just, whenever they work together, including Ed Burns, like they create just some of the greatest content. And it's really funny because they're really focused on Baltimore because that's their town, and creating like content specific to that. But that is my recommendation. Westfield, I hope you feel validated in that.
Yeah, I haven't seen We Own the City, but I have heard a lot about it. I do want to check it out, and The Wire is definitely on my list to revisit because that's all people talked about for 10 plus years was The Wire. So I'm definitely gonna get to those two eventually. But my recommendations is if you don't know me, I haven't said it on here. I've said it on Twitter a couple times. My favorite genre of horror movies is cult related. So anything in the religion aspect, it just or in like Waco, Texas, sort of thing. Like however you want to phrase it, from more of a medieval standpoint or more from a modern like in a modern setting. Like it's all my shit. So Westville earlier, he said, "Have you seen The Witch?" The Witch is really good. It took me a couple of like watches to get into it because the whole thing is written in Old English. It's hard to understand what these people are talking about, but it's shot beautifully. You can low-key just mute the movie and just watch the scenes just play out, and you can see the buildups and the emotion out of these characters' faces and what they're presenting, and you can see how different life was like 300 years ago, and especially during the Salem witch trials where everything was considered to be devilish and shit like that. Another thing that falls in that lane is this movie called Hereditary. It's one of my favorite scary movies of all time, horror movies, really. And from one of my favorite directors ever, to Ari Aster. Aster. He also did Midsommar, which is another cult movie, which I recommend as well. Yes, all documentaries. Yeah. So I'm a big cult guy. I'm really into shit like that. But which is a very good watch. It's hard to watch it with all the old English subtext, but a nice, palate taste, a palate cleanser, and really well told horror movie, Hereditary. Have you seen Hereditary, Amit?
No, I haven't. I'm not a horror movie guy. I like
you're not.
the psychological thriller movies, so I like more like Get Out sort of stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I'm not a really so there are some horror movies that I like I like Candyman, the original Candyman.
Yeah.
And I still got to watch the new one because it's got my guy from The Watchmen in it, and I got to watch
Yeah.
that. Which that's we can talk about Watchmen another time because I'm a huge Watchmen. That's my favorite comic book of all time.
It's right behind you.
Good. I'm glad, dude. At your age, that's awesome to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm not a horror guy. Like, I don't like slashers and those types of movies. Like, it's not like I wasn't into Scream. I wasn't into those types of movies. But I liked it when it was a little darker,
Yeah.
And it wasn't about the violence. It was more about just like the pain you can cause somebody through the other elements.
Yeah, like I've never been like a big slasher guy. Yeah, I appreciate what they've done for, just the culture and stuff, and just kind of put serial killers and just deranged people on the map and stuff, because the 70s, 80s were just filled with those people, like just Sunnyside Killers and the BTK killer and John Wayne Gacy, like that was that whole time, and those slasher movies kind of shine the light on that in a fictional sense, in a way. But like why I love cult movies so much is like I kind of compare it to like how America is today, with just the left and right side, and just both sides at the furthest ends question how the other side can think the way that they do. And it's like when in Midsommar, it's based in either Sweden or Switzerland. It's during the midsummer solstice and stuff, so it's like daylight for like a few days, because it doesn't get dark over there or whatever. And they just have a different way of living, and they have different cultures, and they have different rituals, and they have their own way of living, and they're trying to celebrate something, and just to put some average Americans in that situation, just how they deal with it, it's just very interesting, especially when it comes to stuff like Waco, Texas, or man, you would not like this movie at all. It's not a good movie, but it's wild. The Green Inferno. It's like just stuff like that. Have you seen The Green Inferno?
No, I don't even know it. I don't know.
Yeah, so it's a tribal movie, but yeah, that's my shit. So my recommendations is Hereditary, Midsommar, which is the same director. Those came back to back. Then The Witch, if you want something a little different, but Hereditary is a really, really good a cult movie. And if you watch it twice, you pick up a lot of things that you missed on the first watch. So yeah, those would be my recommendations.
Awesome.
Yeah. Is there a reason why you're not like a horror guy, or it was?
I watched a lot of that stuff. I think I when I was a kid, I watched like Freddy Krueger, Nightmare on Elm Street, and I had some really bad nightmares watching those shows. So I never really got into it. And then I'm not a blood and gore guy. Like anytime where there's a show where they're doing like surgery, because I have this like tick in me where like there's a potential I'll pass out if I see like some bloody gory stuff.
I get that.
So I have to look away. Even like Saving Private Ryan, like it's hard for me to watch
That's a tough movie to watch on the first time. That's a tough movie.
Like I have to like kind of cover my eyes for some of those scenes. And there's so many. I mean, there's so many shows and movies like that cover that stuff. Like I used to watch Nip Tuck, and like Nip Tuck is like all these surgery stuff, and I just most of the show I'm just like covering my face. I'm just not. I just can't deal with the gory stuff of things. But even in my favorite shows, like I have to cover my eyes.
Yes, Wisville. Yeah, that's what it's about.
Yeah. But yeah, that's just my thing. I like the psychological piece, like when you're like, so that was kind of the thing that drove me in with Nightmare on Elm Street, where and the funny thing is I had a nightmare, like I had a really bad nightmare where Freddy Krueger was trying to kill me. Mm-hmm. And I ended up surviving because it's really weird. Like I went to the sewer, I found a bunch of kids, the light shone, me and all these kids turned around and said, "Hey, Freddy Krueger, you can't mess with all of us." And then he kind of ran away. I still remember that nightmare, dude. That was like when I was like 10 years old or something. But yeah, I mean, I'm not into that stuff, but I like when it's like real crime more than it is like the fake crime stuff. And even then, like I still have to, like, I have a little bit of like I'm pretty weak when it comes to the blood and guts.
Yeah, I get that. Like I have a pretty high tolerance for stuff like that. I've never been like a guy to, or anything like that. I'm not saying, like I have like bigger balls or anything like that, but it's stuff, like I can watch that shit all day and, I can, operate as normal and stuff. But I get that because my brother, he doesn't watch movies like that because of the same reason that you said. But in Hereditary, there's some Nightmare on Elm Street elements and stuff, like some of the hallucinations and stuff, and you think you're asleep and stuff. There's just one particular scene that like was wild. But Westville mentioned Fury. Have you seen Fury? It's a military movie.
Yes, I have seen that.
That's a great movie. And John Berthal was great in that movie as well. So
I'm telling you, man, this guy is on a trajectory. He's the next Robert Downey Jr. Like this dude is so good.
Monster is good as well. Charlize Theron. Yeah, I think that's how you say her name. But was there anything else you want to add to the recommendation thing before we get out of here?
Dude, I have a million recommendations. I'm going to save it. I think, in future pods, for those that aren't parents, we're going to do some parent talk. I got a lot of thoughts on a lot of shows, but I really want to talk about Lovecraft Country and The Watchmen. Yeah. Maybe on our next one, we could talk about that. Predictions for the finals. I'll give mine right now. I think whoever wins Game 5 wins the series in 6.
Yeah, I can get on that. Tied series right now. Like both, I think I can speak for both you and I that we want the Celtics to win. Yeah. Best team win, I guess. But yeah, if whatever team wins the next game, I'm pretty sure they go on to, cap it off, because if Warriors end up going down a game going into a elimination game, I don't know how they're going to handle that. They haven't been in that situation too many times. So that would definitely be interesting going in. And Boston, like ever since January, they've fought from behind and stuff because they had a terrible start to begin the season. Then after January, after they got that new head coach and changed some things around, like they just never played from like a leading standpoint and stuff. Like they've had a lot of sus games, especially in the playoffs against the Bucks and the Nets in a couple of games and stuff where they had to come back from behind, and Boston's really good with doing that. So
do you think that if Chris Middleton doesn't get hurt, that Boston's even in the finals?
People underrated that injury a lot, which I thought was pretty disrespectful. Like Chris Middleton was like he killed us last year.
I mean that Giannis and Chris Middleton pick and roll, either one of those guys, whoever was the ball handler, that pick and roll destroyed every team in the NBA.
Yeah, that they do it better than anybody else in the league.
So I just think that, like, God God, man, I feel like I'm sounding like the Lakers fans now. I really think that it should have been a Phoenix Suns Milwaukee Bucks rematch.
I feel like it
And
was
just
supposed to be that too.
circumstances just screwed it up. And I can't cry about it. I can't say like there's an excuse. The Suns really screwed it up. Milwaukee, I mean, they just didn't have enough scoring, and the defense on the Celtics was a lot better than expected. And then towards the end of that series, like Giannis wasn't getting those calls that he got in the finals, which really screwed us. And so, I mean, whatever, man. I'm just it's spill milk at this point.
No, like I feel like if Chris Middleton, didn't get injured, I feel like it would have definitely been Milwaukee at least winning that series. Like I had Milwaukee and the Heat, duking it out and Heat coming out of that, but like we kind of saw in that Boston and Heat series that it's just the Jimmy Butler show. Nobody else can kind of pull their weight, and I kind of feel bad for Jimmy because like he was in a good position in Philly, but
Really?
it just they rather have Tobias Harris and they rather had Ben Simmons. I mean,
And JJ Redick. I mean, they've
spent
spent a lot of money on that team. Like they spent a ton of money to put that team together. And if Kawhi Leonard doesn't make that shot, I guarantee you in overtime, Philly would have won that because they had way more talent.
Sixers would have won that year.
Yeah,
that shot didn't go down. Yeah.
I
mean, plus like Golden State was hurt, but like still, like Philly was like a top 3 team that year. It's a damn shame because I'm a big Jimmy Butler fan, but it is what it is. Sonia, Revenge Tour starts now. Hopefully, James Jones doesn't sit on his hands and he can figure some stuff out, whatever changes we need to make, some improvements to the bench, and possibly our starting 5. And it sounds like DA isn't going to play another game in a Phoenix Suns uniform, which is very unfortunate. And we don't get to see the Valley jerseys anymore. Hopefully we get that sunburst sooner than later. That's all we've been crying for the last 20 years, I would say. Just bring it back. It's by far our best uniform, one of the most iconic. Westville. Yes. Thank you for reminding me. I watched Hustle today. It is a great movie. Adam Sandler, I've always liked him as a serious actor. He was great in Uncut Gems. And this is just an extension of that. So Hustle, he's just a NBA scout for the Philadelphia 76ers. And he finds this guy in Spain. I forget the actual player's name.
It's not Ricky Rubio.
No, it's not Ricky Rubio. But the guy did play on the Celtics. And I don't know if he's on a current roster right now, but it's essentially going through the whole draft process and finding overseas Juan Hirma Gomez. Yeah, that's him. It's just going through the day in the life of a scout, finding somebody dealing with sort of the setbacks from bad ownership and whatever. Then Anthony Edwards, he's hilarious in that. He just talks shit the whole time. He doesn't play himself. He plays like a guy in a different name, but Dirk is in here, Luka's in here, Charles Barkley, Shaq, Kenny Smith. And there's so many people. Boban too. The movie's great. And Tobias Harris is in there, Seth Curry. Joel Embiid was mentioned a couple times, but he wasn't actually in the movie. Doc Rivers was in there too. Brad Stevens. Yeah, you could just go down the list. There's so many people in that movie, and it was kind of cool watching it because it's kind of like a behind the scene sort of watch. So it was definitely cool. I do recommend that if you're really into basketball. But Hustle is a really good one. But any closing statements, Amit? What do you want to close out with?
That's it, man. I mean, it's Wayne Jenkins Day, man. Wayne Jenkins Day. You got to watch We Own the City to understand what I'm talking about. when you see it, it's gonna be fucking hilarious. Everyone have a good night. Sonia, props to you, girl. Like, we need to see more women in this group. We want to have a diverse group of folks in this group. I'm trying to get Jackie from the what's her podcast? Redbirds, whatever it is. I've been trying to get her for a while. She had a baby, so it's taking a little bit longer to get her. And but yeah, we want to make a diverse group. So props to you being out there.
Yeah, shout out to you, Sonia. Like any Arizona podcast live stream that I hop on, you're there. So you're repping, Suns Jam, PHNX. I appreciate you coming out, especially this late and stuff. And to you, Westville, Iverson, Coda, everybody that joined tonight. Just to close out another long week and stuff. A lot of stuff has transpired throughout this week, but when it comes to Phoenix Suns stuff, we just got to hold our breath. Hopefully things do change for the better and we can go back into playing competitive basketball and Ahmed can flip his sign back around. But with the Cardinals, Kyler Murray, he looks like he's been in the gym. It looks like he's been really working on his body, which is really good to see because it's his health that's been kind of killing us the last 2 years. Besides it being Cliff, but take our movie and show recommendations, watch them, and we'll be right back here next week sometime, whatever day works for both me, Ahmed, and I. That should do it. Thank you again for everybody for coming out to episode 2 of the He's on Fire After Dark show. I'm Jay Joyce. You can find me on Twitter with that spelling. You can find Ahmed too on Twitter as well. Was it the sustainable
Ahmed?
Yeah.
Or whatever, Twitter, whatever that shit is.
Yeah.
But you'll find me here. You're gonna find me in the After Dark, man. You're gonna find me in the Upside Down, trying to figure out what happened to the Suns.
We're in the Upside Down in the Arizona world. And then you can catch our regular podcast on Sundays for now on, since no other sports are going on for us right now. We're just only doing one show a week on the regular He's on Fire with Evan. So thank you guys for coming out this late, and thank you again for joining us. We'll see you sometime next week, guys. Good night. Have a good one. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. A lot of crazy drivers in Arizona right now. There's been so many deaths. So we'll catch you guys next week. All right.
Appreciate y'all.
See ya. Have a good one.